Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to see you here on this in-between Sunday. You know what's in between? It's in between the regular season and the Super Bowl, the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And but who cares? You know, who cares? So, Troy and Jessica, great to see you. Hope to see you. Beautiful little baby. That's awesome. Good. You hear that noise? I'm going to turn that off. Okay.
Some help?
Thank you. Very funny, Darren. You need some help turning off one little button. For those of you who aren't aware of that inside joke, it has to do with me fixing something at the church. I understand Rob Mercer has a new title for me, Robo-Pastor. That's right. But great to see you here today. Good to have all of our guests with us here with us today, and hopefully you just kind of getting the feel that VCA is kind of not one of these dry, lifeless places. That we enjoy Christ, we enjoy each other, having a good time. And we're going to have some real good times here in a little bit. After I get done speaking, we receive communion together. We're going to have baptism. That's the noise that you just heard. That was our heater, our water heater, keeping things nice and toasty for us, for those of us who are going to be in the water tank. And it is nice for those of you who are getting baptized. It's pretty nice, so you have nothing to be concerned about there. So after the service, we're actually we'll pray, we'll dismiss. And then about 10, 15 minutes later, after those of us who are going to get in the water, we get changed and get ready to roll. We're gonna have a baptism, and there's probably 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of us getting baptized this morning, and we'll get to hear some stories and really have some time of prayer for each person, and hopefully you just remember and get a grasp of what we talked about a couple of weeks ago with baptism, what happens at baptism, that every person getting baptized really has not only a sense of celebration today, but a significant spiritual moment in their lives, and so that's what we're planning on. I have just failed to read this to you. Over the holidays, for the last several years, you have provided gifts for needy children through St. Andrew's Housing Group, who Sarah works for, and they are very good about thanking us. Dear VCA, thank you so much for your immense amount of help during our holiday gift campaign. We couldn't have accomplished this task without you. 35 children were given gifts and joy because of your help and your service to St. Andrew's holiday campaign. We extremely appreciate it. Have a great holiday season. So I just want to make sure you heard this, that they were aware of what we did and are thankful and grateful for. All right, are you ready to get into your word here for a little bit this morning? I want to thank so much for last week's message. If you haven't heard Stephen Heath's message out of Ephesians 6, it would be to your advantage to do so. You can go on the website and it can tell you how to get there and hear that. I took a whole bunch of notes from his message, and there was just some great stuff, a great synopsis of the book of Ephesians, and then some great points about spiritual warfare and about community, about us connecting with one another. And so just an outstanding job by Stephen last week. So much thanks to him. Today we're going to talk about, this is my shot at Ephesians 6, okay? So Chad has gotten a shot, and Stephen gets a shot, and I know you thought we were done, and I just couldn't quite get away without getting my shot at it. Next Sunday, Membership Sunday, just come and we're just going to go over all what VCA is all about, what we believe and what we value, and then just all that. So you'll hear about that next week. But after today, we'll be done. We'll be done with Ephesians. This is just over a year. Just over a year in the book of Ephesians. Isn't that great?
Yes.
Isn't that just great? I just love that. It's like, why just gloss over something? Why don't we just get in this thing and apply it to our lives and learn about it? So, really, we could spend several weeks easily on this chapter and really break it down. But we'll get through it this morning. All right, so we're going to title this, My Role in Spiritual Warfare. My Role in Spiritual Warfare. Because when we read this, I titled this specifically for a reason. When we read this passage, our battle is not with flesh and blood, and we are in the middle of this spiritual battle. It's easy to talk kind of big concepts. I mean, you can talk about big kind of concepts, big spiritual principles, and it can be kind of cool talking about them, and we can just kind of talk about the scripture, and talk about those things, and the things going on in the spiritual realm, and really never apply it to my life. The fact is, you and I, as believers, as followers of Christ, we have a specific role, a responsibility, and a privilege in this realm, in this role of spiritual warfare. So we're going to talk about this. And I want to make sure a couple things before we get into the text. Talk about, number one, the context. The context of these verses that Chad has talked about and Stephen has talked about. The context of the verses is it's not just all of a sudden. See, one of the things that happens when you take a whole year to study one letter. Remember, it was a letter to the Ephesians. You kind of forget the scope of it. I mean, Paul sat down, he's writing a letter. He writes the whole letter, and he sends it off. And they read it all in one setting, and maybe a couple weeks later, they read it again, and study it and stuff. And so we kind of can forget the context of it. But just a few verses before what we read today, he's talking about husbands and wives. Okay? In just chapter 5, the previous chapter, he's talking about husbands and wives, how to live together as husbands and wives. He's talking about parents and children. Parents, treat your children this way. Children, honorably. He's talking about the house. He's talking about the home. He's talking about family. He's talking about employers and employees. You work for somebody. You're a boss over somebody. Here's how you treat them. Here's how you act and work and treat. If you're an employee. So there's the context. The context is real life. Hey, the context is not like, wow, this is, it's kind of some ethereal realm, and we just kind of, we're just out there, really thinking about heaven and all this spiritual realm so much that we're just like no good to anybody around us. Okay, this is very practical. That's the other thing, the context, but then it's so practical. These big spiritual concepts that are cool for us to talk about, and we love to talk about those things, they all come down. Listen, these concepts, they come down to the moments of our lives, to the very thoughts that we think, to the moods that we are in. I'm probably the only one that ever gets in that mood. But I'll just preach to myself today. So it all comes down to moments. We have to apply these things to the very practical moments of our lives. Okay? So rather than read the whole text, verses 10 through 18 or so, we're going to actually just kind of walk right through.